Marvel has had so many popular superheroes they've made over the years. However, I think it's safe to say that the most popular one, without a doubt, is Spider-Man. And ever since his beginnings, this little web slinger has been seen in many different forms, not just in us in the comics, but also starred in a few TV shows, also and many like live action and animated to movies. And with all the films he starred in, then it would only make sense that Marvel would want to bring him into the MCU, which brings us to the home trilogy. You have Homecoming, which was a really good start to his films. Then you had Far From Home, which I consider to be one of Marvel's most underrated and overhated movies. And then you have No Way Home, which is easily the best of home trilogy, as it manages to make something old with something new. And this brings us to his MCU adventure, Spider-Man Brand New Day. And this was easily my most anticipated movie of the year. I was really looking forward to this one. And the trailers helped increase my excitement. I was already hyped before the trailers came out, but when the trailers did come out, they took the hype I was already feeling and timed it by 11. As you can tell, I'm really excited to talk about this movie. But the question remains, did Spider-Man Brand New Day live up to the hype? And the answer is, oh, definitely. Absolutely. This is not only one of my favorite of the MCU Spider-Man movies, and it's not just one of my favorite MCU films, or one of my favorite Spider-Man films in general. This is easily one of my favorite Marvel movies. This is overall, even going farther than the main MCU. It really is that special. Sure. Now I'm going to do something different with this review compared to others. So the first half of this review, I'll go through all my non-spoiler thoughts of the movie. But then the second half of the review, it'll go into my spoilers. Don't worry, I'll give my rating to this movie before I go into the spoiler part. So any of you that have yet to see this movie don't have to skip to the end. And to find out what I think. Anyways, getting into the review, I love Peter's character arc in this movie. It honestly fits his character so well. You can see how much he was broken from the end of No Way Home, especially how no one remembers who he is, not even his best friends and MJ. This is why he becomes more devoted to the life of being Spider-Man, more so than his life as Peter Parker. Because, as he said at the beginning of the film, sometimes Spider-Man's got to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. And as he deals with all the changes in his body, it does a great job to show how these more the enhanced changes he's going through reflect on how he's more interested in being Spider-Man than Peter Parker at the moment. I also really like what he did with Ed and MJ. I've heard people complain that the roles aren't that big, but I think that's the point. Since Peter doesn't really remember them anymore. Since they don't, since they don't really remember Peter anymore, or it would make a perfect sense, and that their roles will be. However, as small as the roles are, they do hint at their old relationship with Peter to and was he wouldn't and why Peter wants to reveal himself to either. I also really like many of the minor characters from previous Marvel projects is whether it be Bruce Banner who Peter goes to see about his new changes to his powers, was the Punisher, whose dynamic with Spider-Man was absolutely hilarious and delivered the best jokes of the movie. And even Yelena had a bigger role than I thought. Or she would, others being Ian Peters' main form, until it was odds on with this new villain, which we'll talk about more in the spoiler section. I also really loved the action in this movie. The action scenes were already the hot, like the easiest film, but man, and the action in this film is easily intense and highly engaging. I was invested with every single action sequence with if this movie from beginning to end. And there were many times where the action got bigger and better with every moment, which did a great job to keep me fully invested with the film that was being presented right in front of me. I also think the story really fits. It's the top. I've character arc Peter is going on through in this movie. I've heard many people say that this story feels similar to Sam and Raimi's Spider-Man 2, and that is definitely noticeable with Peter's struggle in his civilian life, as well as experiencing changes to his powers. However, the feature does a great job of standing alone on its own feet, each more so than a copy of another. And the more all the story goes on, the more invested I got with everything, especially the film's emotional aspect. There were many moments where I did come close to tearing up because of how strong the emotions of this movie can be. Okay, I've gone through everything I've got to say that's non-spoiler related. So for you guys that have yet to see this movie, I can say now that Spider-Man Brand New Day is a phenomenal movie. That's definitely worth seeing if you love the previous MCU Spider-Man films. And it easily gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Okay, hey, all you that have yet to see this movie have clicked off the video. Good. Now for everyone has seen the movie or aren't too bothered by spoilers, let's get into them. I think the best way to talk about the spoilers is starting off with the main villain of the feature, Jean Grey, who, as many of us predicted, was Sadie Sink's character. And honestly, I think she might be one of my favourite villains in the MCU. Not only does the feature should do a great job of using her mind control powers, as well as showing her to be a strong threat against Peter, but there's also sort of strong emotional side, and the tragedy that really does come with a character. She's not the typical evil want to rule the world type of villain. She is someone who has a great reason for doing the thing she has to do, especially because as damage control were responsible for the death of her sis, Esther. That it's also worth noting that Sadie Sink easily delivers the best performance in this movie. All the other actors do a nominal job, don't get me wrong, but Sink knew the type of character she was playing and elevate it to show her as a strong and powerful threat. I also really love how damage control got a bigger focus in this movie. In previous MCU projects, they were mainly shown as more minor antagonists. It's those that don't have a huge role. So I was interested to see their role in this movie, especially how the head of the organization turns out to be a twist villain. And honestly, he does work. Like his motivations make sense, and I like Jean Grey. I like how he's not the typical or want to rule the world type of villain. He's the kind of thinks what he's doing is good, even if he has to do some bad things. Aims to get to it. I also love the way they use Jean Grey's powers. Whereas then how you're not entirely sure or when they're going to be used. This is especially the case was by Iron Man saves MJ. At first it seems normal, especially with MJ remembering who he is, but the more you look at it, you realise there was quite a lot that doesn't make sense, especially since in the previous two Spider-Man films, it was MJ was terrified of swinging around and when Peter had to swing her, and when Andy started swinging, and she seemed perfectly calm, which it makes the reveal more that she was controlled the entire time and to be so devastating, yet makes so much sense. And as to why. Speaking of which, I love the way they portray the fat one, and they finds out the truth about Peter and Spider-Man, and I love the relationship isn't entirely like fixed in a way. Yeah, they seem to be on better at grounds and starting their friendship again, but that doesn't change the fact that the relationship from before is not going to be the same aim as it was in the previous films, because she still doesn't remember those events, and even if she's rediscovered Peter's identity, I honestly love that, because as it shows that even though Peter's got one of his friends back, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same as it was as before. And I also really like the way they did up of his friendship with Ned. And the way they do it, did make sense to why they were doing it. in it and having him start also remembering him by the end was really well done. Speaking of which, I feel like I do need to talk about the ending. I've heard people complain the ending has gone into a new trope of where it comes to talking the villain down and sympathising with them. But honestly, I'm really liking this trope. Oh, because it shows that we've gone past the point of just having typical comic book style evil villain. Like I said before, Jean Grey isn't a typical evil villain. She's someone that's doing these evil things because of the situation. She's of a axe or we given to her, which really connects well with Peter. So the fact that they use the talk orcas down, how does us makes and I really like that fact. I don't know, it doesn't bother me as much as it does bother for others, but I personally like what he did. And that's enough to keep me equally sad. As for although if anything, the ending felt like a combination of Thunderbolts, Deadpool 2, and Superman Returns. And a lot of complicated, I know, but let me explain. And well, first, I actually got the obvious Thunderbolt. Compare everything with Peter coming, Jean that and confident in her. Then you've got the Deadpool 2 aspect, where Punisher was just about to kill Jean Grey, but Peter sacrificed Isis Elf's Aper, and then you have the Superman Return as aspect where Peter is sent to the hospital, and many of his fans and worry if he's still going to be alive. I know many people probably won't get to the same conclusion at the ending as I did, but that was the conclusion I did figure out. I really like that. And then the post-credit scene. I was disappointed until that first one I heard there was only going to be one post-credit scene. But man, the stuff it's setting up with a Spider-Man or Battleworld, opens the door to so many questions. Is it going to be like Tobey or Andrew Spider-Man, a different multiversal Spider-Man, or did MCU's Peter find a way to get trapped on Battleworld? It leaves the door also open to so many questions that probably won't be answered until Avengers Secret Wars. So yeah, overall, I think you can get the gist. Spider-Man Brand New Day is a phenomenal movie. It has a really interesting and emotional story, incredible action and strong visuals, also lovable and rich characters of an awesome villain, and that's also one of the MCU's best. And may I add a fantastic dick score, all by Michael Giacchino. For any of you have yet seen in the movie but didn't care about spoilers, this is my other recommendation to say that this is an absolute must watch. Believe me when I say you are not going to want to miss out. And considering how at the time of recording this, the film has already come close to making $1 billion in its first week, as well as having the second biggest gets box of his opening just us behind Endgame. And does show that there is a chance that most of you have already seen it, and for you, those who have yet to you really have to. So, oh yeah, this is easily my favorite MCU Spider-Man movie. It isn't my favorite Spider-Man movie in general. Well, we're gonna get to that some. I do plan to do a ranking of all the live action Spider-Man films, as well as the animated Spider-Verse movie. These and I may include the Sony new Spider-Man villain spin-off features as well. Oh, 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 we'll just have to wait and see. But that part is not fully confirmed as of yet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.